Imagine spending like 10 years and millions of dollars auditioning for this massive movie.
Right, the role of a lifetime.
Yeah, only to find out the movie was never actually being made.
Oh, wow.
And the director left the building a decade ago. And the audience, they were, watching a completely different screen the entire time.
That is just, it's a brutal realization.
It really is. Today, we're doing a deep dive into how some of the most famous people on Earth basically fell for the greatest illusion of the modern
The illusion of their own influence.
Exactly. We are looking at a landscape where the traditional boundaries of performance and reality have...
It's a profound psychological phenomenon, really, because when we think of an audition, we typically think of a closed system.
Right, like a soundstage somewhere.
Exactly. An actor performs, a casting director evaluates, and you get a definitive outcome. But what happens when you export that dynamic from a soundstage in Burbank to, well, the entire socio-political landscape of a nation?
The feedback.
Completely. The actor keeps performing, but they lose the ability to perceive if the audience is actually clapping or if they're just hearing the echoes of their own voice.
Welcome back to the deep dive. If you're joining us, it means you want to cut through the noise, right? You want to get to the core insights of these complex cultural moments.
Without feeling totally overwhelmed by the daily outrage cycle.
Exactly. And we have a truly fascinating source to unpack today. It's an intriguing and honestly highly provocative transcript from a YouTube video by the channel Idea Theory.
Titled, How Trump Broke Hollywood Again.
Right. But before we take even one more step, we have to establish the ground rules for you.
This is absolutely critical.
We are looking at a source that contains some really highly charged political commentary about Donald Trump and Hollywood celebrities.
Very polarized stuff.
Yeah. So to be absolutely clear, we are not taking sides here, nor are we endorsing any of the left-wing or right-wing political viewpoints mentioned.
Right. Our mission today is strictly analytical. We are just here to unpack the fascinating cultural, psychological, and sociological arguments made by the creator of this video.
Think of us as cultural anthropologists. We aren't here to judge the people who built the temple. We just want to figure out why the roof collapsed.
I love that analogy. And the central thesis of this source offers a brilliant explanation for that collapse.
Yeah, it does. The video argues that for the past several years, Hollywood has been engaged in one long, loud, unhinged audition for a role that doesn't exist.
Conscience of America.
The conscience of America. So let's outline the journey we're taking today. We're going to track Hollywood's emotional arc.
Right, starting with their supreme pre-election confidence in early 2024.
Then moving to the massive reality crash of election night.
And finally, into this ongoing state of denial, right? Examining what this whole saga reveals about the limits of fame in the modern world.
Okay, let's unpack this. Let's wind the clock back to the beginning of 2024. The setup.
The setup phase.
Right. The video spends a lot of time analyzing why Hollywood felt so incredibly secure before the election.
And you have to look at the context of that moment. The video points out that Donald Trump had been indicted multiple times at that point.
Right, all the various legal...
Yeah, and the conventional liberal wisdom in Hollywood was basically that the legal system would permanently remove him from the equation.
So they thought it was just handled.
Exactly. They thought the system was going to accomplish what the voters hadn't, so they felt totally insulated.
Well, wait, let me jump in here, because that is a massive psychological trap.
Oh, totally.
It's like a sports team popping champagne and putting on championship hats in the third quarter of a game, completely blinded by their own locker room hype.
That is a perfect analogy. The danger of that premature celebration is that your strategy fundamentally shifts.
You stop trying to actually win over the fans.
Exactly. The video argues they weren't attempting to persuade voters anymore. They were just mocking what they assumed was already a political corp.
Which leads to the Bette Midler.
Right. So in April 2024, Bette Midler does this ad for the progressive group Midas.
And it wasn't like a serious policy breakdown.
No, not at all. It was literally a fart joke perfume ad. The punchline was, "Get ready to smell like a big fat loser."
A high-production fart joke months before the election.
Yeah. And then you have Mark Ruffalo in July. He's posting these frantic social media warnings about Project 2025.
Right, calling it the Sharia law of the Christian crazy.
Exactly. So the video synthesizes these examples to make a point about echo chambers.
Right, when you only speak to people who already agree with you, you just lose the ability to gauge reality.
Think about it for a second. I mean, for you listening right now, think about a time you might have been so surrounded by agreement that you entirely misread a room or a situation.
It happens to all of us on a small scale.
But scale that up to a celebrity with 10 million followers. Their echo chamber is massive. The distortion of reality is massive.
Okay, so that's the setup. But then the primary season ends, Joe Biden drops out.
After a debate performance, the video notes everyone could see, but nobody really wanted to admit.
Right. So Kamala Harris becomes the nominee, and Hollywood strategy shifts into this raw, escalated performance phase.
The escalation. This is where the performative endorsements really ramped up.
Yeah, let's talk about George Takei's viral.
Oh, this is the great example from the source. Takei posts, Trump and Vance are just too weird for America, and I attend Star Trek conventions.
Which is funny, and it got, what, 2.8 million views?
2.8 million views. But the video notes a crucial detail about those views.
That it changed exactly 0 minds.
Precisely. It was wildly successful as an inside joke for people who already hated Trump, but it converted absolutely no one.
And from there, the rhetoric just goes nuclear. The escalation to Nazi comparisons.
Yeah, the video brings up Barbra Streisand citing the fashion.
And Jane Fonda, right? She framed Trump as the enemy of her climate, saying his drill baby drill policy was basically the end of the world.
Right. And then you get to the award shows, which is where this performative aspect really takes center stage.
The Emmy Award, September 2024.
Selena Gomez and Candace Bergen are up there making inside jokes about childless cat ladies.
Mocking J.D. Vance.
Exactly. They're up there in these incredibly expensive gowns, laughing it up, and the video points out this massive disconnect.
Here's where it gets really interesting. I have to ask, if the ultimate goal of a political campaign is to actually win vote, why use this strategy?
Right. Why alienate?
Yeah. Why would highly paid publicists let celebrities use a strategy that actively alienates the very working class people they know?
Because, as the video argues, they weren't actually talking to voters. They were auditioning for each other.
Just playing to the room.
Yeah. Every smug joke, every inside baseball wink, it actually just reinforced Trump's core campaign message.
Which was that the elites look down on ordinary Americans and mock their values.
Exactly. They were essentially writing his campaign commercials for him without realizing.
And the condescension wasn't just at the Emmys. You had Bruce Springsteen doing that dire, dramatic warning video.
Oh, right. And the Julia Roberts ad. That one is fascinating.
The source material really tears into that ad.
It does. For context, this was an ad encouraging women to secretly vote for Harris without their Trump-voting husbands knowing.
It's just wild to think about the mindset.
The video points out how incredibly patronizing it is.
Yeah.
It assumes these women have no agency.
Right. Like, they need Julia Roberts to swoop in and give them permission to think for themselves.
It reveals this total disconnect between the messenger and the audience. Hollywood thought they were being empowered.
But to the actual voters in, like, Ohio or Iowa, it just felt insulting.
Totally. Which brings us to the brick wall.
November 5th, 2024, election night, the reality crash.
This is where the theoretical confidence of Hollywood meets the undeniable empirical reality of the ballot box.
And the video paints a very stark picture of this. Trump wins decisively.
Right. Flipping states, improving demographic margins, winning the popular vote.
The illusion just shatters overnight, and the source video makes brilliant contrast here.
About their actings, right?
Yeah, it contrasts an actor's ability to mechanically perform grief on cue with the very real, unscripted grief they experienced that night.
It was completely raw. The video highlights real-time reaction, like Billie Eilish on stage in Nashville.
Oh, that moment is so telling.
She's performing, realizing in real time that her 120 million followers couldn't stop what she called a war on women.
Imagine the whiplash. You have that much digital power, and suddenly you realize it means nothing in the world.
Mark Hamill had a similar realization. He posted that the America he thought existed was basically disproven.
The bubble bursting in real time. But they didn't just sit with that grief, right? They got angry.
Very angry. And the video points out they didn't blame their performance. They blamed the audience.
Christina Applegate was, like, demanding people unfollow her?
Sophia Bush sarcastically congratulating the Maggier gang, basically implying the audience actively chose evil.
And Mark Ruffalo just flat out admitting, we got our ass.
Right. When you believe fame equals influence, discovering it doesn't is a worldview-shattering event. You decide the audience is defective or racist rather than admitting you have no power.
It's exactly like a stand-up comedian bombing on stage.
Oh, that's a great way to look at it.
Right. Instead of realizing the jokes aren't landing and, adjusting the material, the comedian just starts yelling at the crowd.
Blaming them for not getting it.
Telling them they aren't smart enough to get the humor. It's just pure ego protection.
And once they decided the audience was defective, what did the cast do? They walked off the stage entirely.
Which takes us to the post-election fallout, the exodus.
The celebrity exodus.
Yeah.
This part of the video is just packed with irony.
It really is. You had Eva Longoria moving to Spain and Mexico, calling the U.S. dystopian.
And expressing pity for Americans who aren't lucky enough to escape.
Lucky meaning incredibly wealthy.
Exactly. Then you had Ellen DeGeneres and Portia de Rossi staying in the UK, George Clooney getting French citizenship.
Rosie O'Donnell literally packing up her child and moving to Iowa, though I think the video meant she left her usual bubble. Wait, she left the country entirely.
Well, the source says she took her child and relocated, creating this narrative of seeking safety. But the video unpacks this deep contradiction.
The dictatorship paradox.
Yes, the video points out that despite 9 years of calling Trump a fascist dictator, there were no mass roundups.
No concentration camps, no secret police coming for Hollywood actors.
Exactly. And the video uses this really striking anonymous quote.
Oh, I remember this. So the person said, I actually grew up in a dictatorship, and it's always funny watching Americans scream about how much...
It's a devastating point. The video analyzes the profound privilege at play here.
Yeah, these celebrities spent years lecturing everyday Americans about courage and fighting for democracy.
But the second their side lost the Democratic election, they just took their wealth and left.
They opted out.
And the irony is, they're claiming to live under a brutal fascist regime while simultaneously being allowed to loudly and publicly criticize that same regime with zero consequences.
So what does this all mean for you listening right now? It raises a massive question about the boy who cried wolf.
It really does.
If you scream fascist from the stage of the Golden Globes for a decade and nothing fascist actually happens to you, does the word completely lose its meaning?
The video argues that yes, it absolutely does. It just becomes background noise.
So for the celebrities who didn't flee to Europe, the cognitive dissonance just gets weirder.
We enter the terminal audition phase, moving into 2025 and 2026.
The absurdity just escalates. Rosie O'Donnell starts blaming Trump for the weather.
Right, tying flash floods in Texas to cuts in the Weather Service. It's just completely unhinged from reality.
And Lady Gaga at the Grammys in Feb 2025 doing this dramatic speech to a room full of people who already agree with her.
They're just reinforcing the bubble. But the video highlights the January 2026 Golden Globes as the absolute terminal point.
Oh, the pins.
The ACLU pin. They organized a protest where celebrities, including Mark Ruffalo, wore these little pins that just said, "Be good."
To protest immigration, and the video calls this out perfect.
Accessorizing designer gowns with political jewelry.
Virtue signaling without taking any actual action, just making sure everyone knows you're one of...
But then, amidst all this ongoing performance, the video points to one single moment of stark honesty. January 2025. Jennifer Lawrence does an interview with The New York.
And she breaks the unwritten. She says the quiet part out loud.
She literally says celebrities do not make a difference whatsoever on who people vote.
Wow. I mean, to say that out loud in her industry.
The video creator calls it devastating because it shatters the foundational myth of Hollywood's political engagement.
The whole ecosystem of endorsements, the bumper sticker acceptance speeches, the millions of dollars spent.
It all relies on the illusion that their cultural influence actually translates into political power.
And she just admitted that the audition was always for a role that didn't exist.
Exactly.
So to connect the final dots for the listener here, the audience wasn't confused. They weren't sitting at home waiting for celebrities to show them the light.
Right. They knew what they were voting. Their economic and cultural realities drove their decision, not an award show.
Hollywood's show closed in November 2024, but they just couldn't stop.
They're still on stage, performing to an empty theater.
It's wild to think about. So to recap everything we've pulled from this source video.
We've covered the illusion of celebrity influence, right?
Yep. The blinding nature of those echo chambers about.
And that really harsh reality check when digital visibility completely fails to translate into actual physical political power.
And for you listening, I think the biggest takeaway here is to really examine your own information bubbles.
Oh, absolutely. How often do we all mistake the loud applause of our own little in-group for universal truth?
It's so easy to do. You get insulated and you think everyone agrees with you.
Until reality hits you in the face.
Exactly. But I want to leave you with a final, slightly provocative thought to ponder on your own.
Okay, let's hear it.
If this video is right, and celebrity endorsements truly have absolutely zero impact on moving the needle in political elections,
Right.
does mass celebrity influence still actually work for anything else anymore?
Oh, that's a great question.
Are they still selling our products? Are they still driving our culture? Or has the digital age, completely fractured the very concept of celebrity power altogether?
It really makes you wonder if the era of the monoculture star is just over.
Something to think about. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. We will catch you next time.